Hello and welcome to this new video. Today I'll be discussing whether and how the NVIDIA stock will develop. I'm recording this video before the earnings report, and after the earnings you can see for yourself whether I'm right or not. We'll talk about expectations, market developments, and possible scenarios, so stay tuned. Let's begin. First, I'd like to address the expectations from LSEG data. They expect revenue to more than double to $28.68 billion year over year. The gross margin will shrink by 3%, which can be attributed to chip suppliers like TSMC. Many analysts are concerned that large chip buyers may buy less as they are already saturated. If the future outlook isn't as strong, the market value could plummet by up to 20%. Analysts and shareholders are very cautious and emotional about expectations for NVIDIA. There's also the next generation of AI chips, called Blackwell. The CEO announced that it would be available for purchase this quarter, but analysts estimate that this will be delayed until the third quarter due to supply bottlenecks. Of course, there are also concerns regarding China. NVIDIA has developed a new strategy to regain the Chinese market. They will sell H20 chips, which are somewhat less powerful. These chips are more powerful than what Huawei can provide. There are also some antitrust issues, which are less significant. Regarding forecasts, NVIDIA might only offer a slightly skewed perspective on the future. This could lead to a daily loss of up to $300 billion in market value, which would be fatal. If the numbers and forecast are very good, the stock could gain 10% in one day, which is very important. If you've enjoyed the video so far, please subscribe and leave a comment. Currently, the NVIDIA stock is trading at 73 times earnings and has a PS ratio of 39. The PE ratio is roughly average. My prediction was that the stock would fall to a PE of 50, and it was correct. As long as the PE ratio doesn't reach 90, the stock is in the normal range, as we've seen in the last 5 years. I would become very attentive at a PE over 90. Let's look at the competitors with which we can compare the PE. NVIDIA has many strong competitors, but NVIDIA largely dominates the market for graphics cards. NVIDIA is currently valued at average or slightly above average. When considering earnings growth, it's conceivable. Now let's look at the future prospects. It's expected that from the third quarter onwards, NVIDIA will no longer grow in triple digits, but only in double digits. Until 2027, earnings growth of 24.1% is forecast, while EPS is expected to grow by 24.4%. As the market becomes more saturated each year, it will become increasingly difficult for NVIDIA to maintain growth. Now let's look at revenue development until 2027. NVIDIA will achieve revenue of over $100 billion in the next year, with profits at $64 billion. If they have more successful years until 2027, revenue would not be slightly under $200 billion, but significantly above. Looking at the return on equity, it will remain high for the next 3 years as NVIDIA continues to achieve high profit margins. A return on equity of 78.9% is expected over the next 3 years, while the industry is only expected to achieve 12.8%. When we look at where the revenue comes from, most comes from the compute and network segment. It's the segment that has grown very strongly in recent years. The graphics division accounts for 17.7%. The graphics area is where they sell their accessible GPUs for gamers or miners. Now let's look at the company's efficiency. This is an important factor when assessing a company's strength. The return on equity is 86.7%, while the industry average is only 12.8%. The return on assets is 54.2%, while the industry only achieves 6.6%. The return on equity employed has increased significantly compared to 3 years ago, when it was 21.2%. Despite these declines, NVIDIA remains significantly stronger than the industry average. Now we come to the financial health of the company. NVIDIA's balance sheet looks perfect and couldn't be better. NVIDIA has a debt-to-equity ratio of 19.8%, which is normal and even better than average. NVIDIA won't have problems with debt when comparing all values, cash balance, and other assets. In a recession, the stock would survive even if there was a strong price decline. An interesting aspect that I like to look at is the shareholders. Vanguard holds 8.73% and BlackRock 7.48%. A very interesting fact is that the CEO is still among the 5 largest shareholders and holds 3.5%. This is so important because the CEO tends to think more about the future than short term. This video is not investment advice. I had already made a video about the NVIDIA stock where I predicted the sell-off. I have a very high success rate with the NVIDIA stock. Investors who have subscribed to my channel and regularly follow my videos could have placed positions between $90 and $100. So subscribe if you want to save yourself from such sell-offs and write other stocks you're worried about in the comments. A few days ago, I made a video about a stock that might not be hit as hard by the recession or could even benefit from it, so check out that video as well. We're now in a very important phase. There are 2 scenarios that are equally likely. Either NVIDIA exceeds all expectations and provides a very good future outlook, or they disappoint on a small matter and we immediately experience a 10% decline in one day. I mainly assume that they will deliver very good earnings. If we consider the alternative scenario, I could probably see a decline to $100 in case of disappointment. Before such earnings that react strongly to events, investors who want to invest or trade should wait until the earnings are published to see the direction of the market. If you can accept a potential downside of 20% to 35%, I would advise you to buy the NVIDIA stock. I would either go long or short on NVIDIA right now if the stock isn't in my target zone. But if you're considering an initial position for a long-term investment, you can certainly do so. If the stock were to fall, we probably wouldn't see new highs for the next 6 months, because the recession would also affect the NVIDIA stock. In the next 6 months or even longer, there would be many opportunities for smaller trades that could be very interesting for traders. If you're interested in trading more short to medium term, leave a like and comment that you want stocks where you can trade a lot. If the video gets over 1,000 views, you decide on 3 stocks that I will present to you. The most likely scenario is that there will be no problems with the presentation and we would rise immediately. The stock could rise to $150 in the next 2 days, then we would see a cool down to $137. If it has cooled down a little, the stock would see $180 until the recession in the market. During the recession, the stock would correct to double digits. If you want to prepare for a recession, subscribe to the channel. When would my probable scenario occur? When we exceed $137, so the stock needs to rise 8%, which is likely on an earnings day. If it manages that, it would be almost a direct path to $180. From current price levels, we would still have an increase of 43%. We will achieve this goal in a few months. Let's look at the stock long-term, 3 to 5 years expectation. I expect the NVIDIA stock to be around the $300 range. I can't tell you the exact price ranges right now, but what I know is that you will generate a significant excess return with the stock in 5 years. Those who invest long-term now could achieve a return of about 140% in 4 years. And if the NVIDIA stock falls to $101, which is my alternative scenario, the return would be about 200%. So, what would I do? I would set a limit order at around $100, so that if the stock falls, I immediately enter the market. At the moment, I wouldn't enter, but rather observe the events. That's it for this video. I hope I could help you. Until next time.